Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's micro webinar, where we'll be discussing how to speak maintenance, 5 things your maintenance team wish you understood. I'm Linda Snell, and I'm with the National Apartment Association, a resource director, and we are delighted to have you here today to learn about this important topic. A couple announcements before we get started. One is we will be recording the session and you'll be able to find it on the National Apartment Association's website and YouTube channel next week. Also, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat and we will try to get to them during the session. And if not, we will also be providing the speaker's email address so that you can also talk directly to her. So now I would like to turn the microphone over to Chris Ulip. Chris is the Vice President of Yardy Breeze. And Yardy Breeze is our exclusive 2021 sponsor of the Independent Rental Owners Committee. And Chris, we really want to thank you, your team, and Yardy Breeze for your partnership and your sponsorship. So Chris, I will turn it over to you to introduce today's outstanding speaker.
Thank you, Linda. Yardy Breeze is proud to be a supporter of NAA's independent rental owner members. We welcome you to this webinar and hope you enjoy it. It's a pleasure to introduce Vicki Sharp with the Sharp Solution. After serving an initial enlistment in the U.S. Army, Vicki began her 40-plus year career in property management. From leasing agent to community manager to regional manager to vice president, Vicki has truly walked the walk of property management. In the next 20 minutes, Vicki will share a few tips about building a better relationship with your maintenance team. Welcome, Vicki.
Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you, Linda. Appreciate you guys having me here today. Definitely want to talk about maintenance. I will tell you that maintenance, they are the strongest tool in your toolbox. They are the key to success for your property. And there's a couple of things I really like for people to know. Their maintenance team members are very dedicated in what they do. If you think about the hours that they work, on call, come out at 2 in the morning for the overflowing toilet and everything else that happens, you know they're dedicated and they're responsible. Heck, they're lifesavers. I used to tell my maintenance technician all the time, oh my God, you saved my life again. You've done the magic. You've done the magician work that is so needed for maintenance. And what I really like to call them is miracle workers. It's amazing to me they can get something like this picture right here and have a leasing person say, hey, they're moving in on Saturday, and somehow they do it. Somehow they do it. So miracle workers is really the title we should have for our teams. You know, it's funny, you really have no idea how much stupid our maintenance people deal with every single day. Now, please don't get offended by that term. I don't mean stupid as in stupid people, but I do mean stupid stuff that happens. And as you can tell here by the cartoon, you're probably getting these phone calls right now. I've turned on my heat and now something's on fire. No, no, no. It's just burning off the dust. So the first thing your maintenance would really love for you to do is train your people, your residents, on stupid stuff the day they move in. Tell them that when they turn on the heat, they're going to smell dust burning off of those heating elements. Tell them that if they walk in and the toilet is starting to overflow, turn that little silver button behind it, that knob, and get that water turned off. Tell them things that they can do to mitigate the damage before maintenance gets there. And then don't just do it at move-in. Communicate with them all through their resident journey. Going into the cold weather, send out an email to your residents, you know, when it's still about 80 degrees outside and say, you know, we're going to have a cold snap. When you turn on that heat, you're going to get this smell. Or when you know that the cold weather is going to freeze, make sure you contact them, tell them what to do in the freezing weather. Don't let something bad happen before you tell people what they should have done. Let's get proactive a little bit. So a couple of things I want you to know. Guess what? Your maintenance teams are really pretty smart. It's funny to me when I teach some maintenance seminars, how many of them say, nobody ever tells me I'm smart. Nobody ever says I know what I'm doing. They just kind of act like I don't really know anything and they have to tell me everything from A to Z. Please understand our maintenance teams are really, really smart. When you have a problem, you need to ask your maintenance person how to deal with that. One of the best things I ever did on my properties was to create a list of the 5 biggest things people call about the most times. They call about the dishwasher not coming on. Well, where I was working, they had a switch you had to turn on in order to get power to the dishwasher. All kinds of things that our people can ask, or you can ask, before you ever write up a service order. I used to laugh about when seasons change. Someone would call and say, well, my air conditioning's not working. It's blowing hot air. And the first thing I'd say is, if you're at home, go look at your thermostat. Is it on heat or is it on cool? And was you can hear them kind of shuffling back and go, I think it's gonna be okay now. Thanks, bye, click, because they didn't know to switch the thermostat from heat to cool. These are the kind of things that we need to ask people. Have a whole list from your maintenance people to have that you can ask people before you write that service order. You may end up stopping a service order because you've solved the problem on the phone. Now the resident thinks you're the smartest person on earth. So go ahead and try that. Another thing I like to do is I like to share my maintenance team resumes with the residents. I like the residents to know that my maintenance team is smart. And in my apartment communities, we would actually have a wonder wall of all of our employees, where we would take a frame, much like what you see there on the screen, which, by the way, at Crown Awards cost a whopping $15. And we would put their headshot in it. And then underneath it in the personalized nameplate, we would put their name and their achievements. They're CPO certified, they're HVAC certified, they're a licensed electrician. They won CAMT of the Year from NAA. Any of those achievements that they've done, I put it there underneath their picture. And then anyone who ever comes in your offices can see that. And it tells them my maintenance people are smart. And it's a great benefit to your maintenance team as well. So another thing maintenance teams like, man, they like to talk. I know you all know that. They love to talk, but they also like to communicate. There's a difference in talking and in communicating. They love to coffee talk. They love to visit. They love to chit chat, but they also like for you to communicate with them on what's going on. What's the goal? Are there occupancy goals for the property? Do they know what those occupancy goals are? Do they know where you're sitting today? Do they know how many move-ins and how many move-outs are expected and where you're going to end up on your occupancy? So it's not enough to just share with them, hey, we're 95% occupied. Everybody goes, woohoo, that's great numbers. But if you do instead tell them we're 95% occupied, but we have 10 move-outs coming in the next 30 days, so we need to get prepared for that. And we have 6 move-ins in the same next 30 days. That's going to push us to 93.5% occupancy, and now we're not meeting our goal. Your maintenance team really need to be a part of that conversation. They can help you achieve those occupancy goals by getting apartment homes ready faster, making sure that the exterior of the property looks great, and making sure that they're doing everything in their power to have the apartment homes ready and rentable faster than they may have otherwise had they not known you had an occupancy challenge. So don't keep them in the dark. There's the old mushroom saying, I won't go into it all the way. You know what it is, but don't treat them like mushrooms. Feed them information. It's good too to tell them what's going on in collections. Sometimes they can be very, very informative when it comes to collections. Maintenance people know what's happening on the site because they're on the site more than we are. So they might tell you, yeah, that apartment 101, I actually saw them moving some stuff out over the weekend. They may be trying to skip out on the rent and you didn't even know it. So now you can go follow up and find out what's going on. Or perhaps you can have a conversation, say, we haven't gotten rent from these 5 apartments and it's now the 10th of the month, and they can probably tell you what they know is happening in those apartments. So grab that knowledge from them, find out what's going on. The other thing they can tell you about is renewals. Again, they're the face of the community. So people talk to our maintenance teams and they can tell you when people are unhappy. They can tell you when people are frustrated. They can tell you if there's a problem that a resident is having with management or a resident is having with another resident. Maintenance knows all this. And if you will only ask, they're happy to share. So let them know that you're trying to find out about renewals. Maybe you've got 5 apartment homes that are coming up for lease renewal in 60 days and you don't know if they're renewing or not. They're not telling you anything. Your maintenance person can probably tell you hot buttons to talk to this person about and be able to close that renewal. Some of the other challenges that we always have on site is the budget. I have to laugh about this, and we do it. I think we shoot ourselves in the foot with budgets all the time. Either a budget is created above our level, above even the on-site level from a corporate office somewhere, and is sent down and said, this is what you have to live with. In my opinion, that is a huge mistake. The people on the front lines know more about what it takes to run that property than anybody in the corporate office. So to leave that knowledge laying at the curb is just foolish. So you want to start your budgets at the property site level. And not just the manager, your maintenance people need to be involved. They can tell you what breaks frequently. They can tell you what supplier members have said prices are going up on. They can tell you how quickly they go through certain supplies, and they can tell you what supplies are sitting in the maintenance shop from 2 years ago that you don't need to keep buying. So talk to your maintenance people, let them know the goal, which is to get a budget with a higher NOI than last year. Show them where some of the losses have been, and let them help you find money in that budget. They're incredibly smart when it comes to that. The other thing is they can tell you, again, like I was saying on renewals, they can tell you everything about residents. Excuse me. They can tell you when somebody's boyfriend or girlfriend has moved in. They can tell you when an illegal pet has moved in. They can tell you when an apartment home is in very, very poor condition. And so lean on them, get this information from them, and again, communicate, communicate, communicate. You can never over communicate. Guess what? Maintenance teams really do want training. They may say, oh, don't make me watch that webinar, or, oh, no, don't make me go to that seminar. But in reality, once they get there, they really do want that training. Couple of things. Number one, you have got to train your maintenance team on fair housing. If you are not training your people, your maintenance people on fair housing, you're setting yourself up for a lawsuit. More and more and more fair housing investigators are keying in on maintenance. They know we train our management people, so they don't look there too hard. Now they're trying to catch our maintenance people doing or saying something wrong. So you want to make sure they're getting good fair housing training. And I say online doesn't cover it. Online fair housing training from Grace Hill, from Edge to Learn, from any of these other vendors are good trainings. Please don't misunderstand. But in the time available, they only scratch the surface. They can't really get into the weeds to help maintenance teams really understand the why of fair housing. And one thing that I've discovered with our maintenance team members, they want to know the why. It's not enough to say you need to know this. They want to know why they need to know this and what's it going to do for them. So a deeper fair housing training is really important, at least annually, for your maintenance teams. Something that really goes into documentation, and don't just write done on a service order, because if that gets pulled up in a fair housing investigation, done doesn't do it. They want details as to what level of service was provided. So it's important that they understand what is needed in documentation, what is good documentation. Sexual harassment is another thing they have got to get trained on every single year. Just ask the city of Baltimore, who wrote a check for $8 million. Yeah, that number I said was $8 million out of court settlement because of maintenance people who were sexually harassing some of the residents. The issue here too is that Department of Justice, who investigate sexual harassment claims, and HUD, who investigate fair housing claims, have now decided to share their information. So if someone files a claim for sexual harassment with Department of Justice, once that claim is finished, they then send it to HUD to investigate as a fair housing complaint based on the protected class of gender. So you could get a double whammy. Your best protection in not really avoiding these, but surviving a fair housing claim is training, 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 training. The more you can prove you have trained your people, the less likely it is that they're going to find fault. They're going to go find an easier target. So you can't train enough. And customer service. What do you expect your maintenance team to do with customer service? Again, we talk about the fact they love to chat. Oh my, do they love to chat? So we need to talk about what is appropriate chat. and what is not appropriate chat. What should they say? More importantly, what should they not say? I always laugh when I hear maintenance people come in and a resident may say something like, well, that's the second time that item is broken. And maintenance goes, yep, I told them to quit buying the cheapest piece of crap on the market, but no, we got to save money. So we buy the cheapest piece of crap on the market. No, don't say that. So we need to train our maintenance people not to say things like that, because it plants a seed in the resident's mind that everything is cheap in the property. So we want to have good customer service training, good soft skills training, good training to know what to say when they see something that needs to be reported to you, if they should say anything at all. Many cases they shouldn't. They should just come and speak with the manager. But they don't know what your expectations are if you don't tell them. So please have conversations and have training about customer service with your maintenance teams. You know what? Maintenance teams need to know you got their back. I know it's hard to believe this, but the resident is not always right. I know you will never believe this, but residents lie. They truly do. They will make things up, and they will make things worse than they really are, and they will tell you things that are not true. Now, your residents probably have never done that, only mine, but it happens. So maintenance has to know that you've got their back. When a resident complains about a maintenance person's work, you need to investigate it. You need to hear both sides of the story. You need to get the maintenance technician who will become very defensive very quickly. Just calm down, take a breath, tell me what happened. Your maintenance people also, just as any other team member, they have to know that if they make a mistake, it's okay. You can always work things out, but you need to know the whole story. Maybe they did make a mistake. Maybe they did say something they shouldn't have said. The issue is, how do you recover from that? But you can't recover from it if they don't feel comfortable in telling you that the situation happened. So they've got to know you have their back, that you're going to go to the upper bosses, if there are any, or to the property owner, if it's someone you're working for, and you're going to help protect them, even when they make a mistake. And you know what? Don't reward residents for bad complaints or bad tempers. Especially if you're in an older community, I like to call it a more experienced community, where perhaps the resident's trying to get something new or something upgraded. And so they kind of throw a temper tantrum about that. The reward isn't to throw your maintenance person under the bus and just give them a new dishwasher or a new stove. Instead, you need to really determine what's the basis of the issue and whether that new item is needed, or if the repair needs to be done better, or if a different item is needed versus a new one. And that's a lead in a very small commercial for one of my other sessions where we talk about upgrading on a shoestring. But I'm not going to tell you more about that right now. And then, take responsibility for what happens. If you're the manager, you are responsible for what happens. So when you have to talk with your supervisor or the property owner about something that happened, you need to say, I'm in this game too, and I'm taking responsibility as well. And I'm going to deal with my maintenance team to make sure we make this right. And then you get that information with the owner or the higher ups. Then if there's a problem, you go discuss that problem with the maintenance person privately. This is not something that is ever done in a community meeting, a team meeting, or even where others can overhear. When you've got a problem that you've got to solve, a little coaching session or even a counseling session, it's always done in private. You know what? Maintenance teams have to know they make a difference. It's important to them to know that when they go to work in the morning and put in a full day's work and they come home in the evening, that they've done something. They didn't just turn wrenches. They didn't just apply caulk, but rather they made a difference in something. Recognize the great work that they do. Publicly acknowledge what they do. It may seem very simple, but if they cleared 10 work orders in 2 days, which is pretty good, shout that to the supervisor, shout that to the property owner, and just say, this person's working so hard. This is what they did. And the other thing I learned a long time ago, silly as it may sound, thank you notes. I'm old school, no question about it. I like piece of paper, put it in an envelope, write their name and address, actually put a stamp on it, and US mail a thank you note. I do this with all of my properties. Every time I have a site visit and then I'm getting on an airplane to go somewhere else, I have pull thank you notes out of my briefcase and I write a thank you note to every single employee, 2 or 3 sentences, outline one thing that I noticed specifically. So it's not just, hey, thanks for a job well done, woohoo. But instead, perhaps it's, hey, thank you for keeping the landscape looking so clean. The parking lot was spotless. Everything looked great. I appreciate what you do. Those mean so much to our maintenance team. And I have gone back to properties and seen my thank you notes hanging in the maintenance shop where they were so proud to keep looking at them over and over. It's a very small thing and it means so much. Other things you can do to recognize and reward, I like to call them on the spot rewards. And I actually used this on a big property that I was on once. We actually did coupon books and I made them up myself, little pieces of paper stapled together, boom, coupon book. And it was cheap stuff. But anytime we caught somebody doing something right, we rip off a coupon and hand it to them. So it might be free haircut. It might be, a movie rental. It could be, I'll pay your Netflix for the next 30 days. Maybe it's an oil change or a car wash. Anything that's not huge money, but helps them. And that on the spot reward means, again, you've just recognized something they've done really well and you want to recognize them for it immediately. Immediate gratification means a lot. And then on bonuses, I have a lot of companies that have asked me, especially recently, about bonus and commission programs for their teams. And granted, these are usually for apartments and such, but it doesn't hurt to have this on IROC properties as well. Usually there are leasing commissions that are paid for leasing, but none of the maintenance people get any pieces of that leasing commission. Yet they are the ones who are keeping the yard looking good. They're the ones who are keeping the parking lot swept. They're the ones who made the home ready. They put a lot of work into it and they should share somehow in the commission or bonus structure that you have on your property. Everybody should be rewarded for renewals because renewals is really what makes the game. Having no turnover, little turnover, not having that make ready expense saves you a ton of money. And I suggest strongly that you share a little bit of that with your entire team, definitely your maintenance team. How am I doing on time, Linda?
About a minute left.
Okay, good. Well, that's perfect. We got to this. So questions, comments, complaints, I'm open to hearing them all. But as Linda said, it's going to be hard with this short of a time span to get to anything in the chat box. We're going to try as we end this up. But if you have questions or want further information, or you want to set up some training sessions for your people, give me a buzz, drop me an email. I'm booking 2022 sessions right now. And my email is on the screen. I think Linda has also put it on the chat. And so with that, I'm going to go to Chris, I think. Is that right?
Back to me, Vicki. Thanks.
Back to Linda. Okay.
Appreciate it. Yes. Thank you, Vicki, so much for these outstanding tips. It was an excellent presentation. Chris noted that also. If anybody does have any questions for Vicki, please feel free to give her a holler through the email address. I'm sure everyone's going to be able to take at least one tip back with them to be able to share and make your partnership between your maintenance team, office staff, and maintenance even stronger. So thank you again. And thank you, Yardy Breeze, for your support. We appreciate you, Chris, for being here.
Yay,
and then thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you next year. And this concludes our micro webinar. Thank you.